This man unexpectedly crossed over and gained the heart of a pervert. The system instructed him to give someone a pair of stockings. It's to let him dress up Empress in JK fashion. Just now Zhang Reckless relied on the full power of the divine body of lustful spirit. He resolved the crisis of the Jade Maiden Sect being completely wiped out. Emperor exhausted his cultivation level, and was firmly caught by a princess of the Empress. But just as they landed, Lu Peacekeeper hurried to them, saying that Azure Spirit had been captured by the exotic race, and at that moment the main force of the exotic race had also attacked Wind-Piercing Gorge. The Empress couldn't help but be surprised. There seemed to be more surprises in store. It appeared that the exotic race had grown a lot. If they were to support Wind-Piercing Gorge to rescue Azure Spirit at this moment, it would probably be hopeless. At this moment, Zhang Reckless made a dazzling appearance. He, who was focused on the mission number 5, knew that this was a great opportunity. Wind-Piercing Gorge was crucial for us, and Azure Spirit was certainly in a trap set by the exotic race. We need to send someone they are not familiar with. Who should we send? It's really a tough choice. What do you think, Empress? At this moment, Empress called out for him to come over. Zhang Reckless grinned and knew that the plan was indeed working. Empress got straight to the point and said that Zhang Reckless had been hiding his true strength. She suspected that he was the one who saved her when the palace was attacked that night. Zhang Reckless scratched his head, pretending to be coy, and complimented Empress for being truly smart. Listening to Zhang Reckless' confident response, Empress thought back to her own situation that night and couldn't help but feel a bit awkward at Empress' actions became more awkward and a bit embarrassed. But she remained serious as she said, "Your strength is stronger than anyone else in the sect. If you were to rescue Azure Spirit, I would feel even more reassured." But before she could finish her sentence, Zhang Reckless suddenly leaned back, startling Empress, who quickly helped him up and asked what was going on. Zhang Reckless immediately went into full actor mode, saying that the move just now had used up all of his true chi, so he was unable to help Empress with her troubles. Of course, my cultivation of techniques and arts is quite unique. It's not difficult to recover quickly, but I'll have to trouble you for a moment. After saying that, he reached out and pulled out a brand new school uniform, JK style. If you put it on, I'll be able to resurrect at full health on the spot. Empress hesitantly touched the clothes. This outfit is indeed unique. What material is it made of? Zhang Reckless' eyes lit up at this moment. Never mind what it's made of, just put it on. Empress frowned at Zhang Reckless' urgent tone. Wearing clothes to restore cultivation level? You really think I'm a fool? At this moment, Zhang Reckless also realized that he was a bit impatient. He quickly waved his hand, insisting that he was not lying. This piece of clothing appears ordinary but conceals a mysterious array. In short, you just need to put it on and then test my inner power. Empress felt a wave of shyness. Ever since Zhang Reckless appeared, he had always been helping her. Moreover, this is just a piece of clothing. I really shouldn't have such evil intentions. Immediately, she said to Zhang Reckless, "Time is running out. I will trust you this once, but you must turn around and not peek. I will call you when I'm done changing." Empress carefully took off her outer garment, trying not to make any noise. After a moment, she couldn't help but exclaim in admiration at the material of the clothes. They are a bit tight around the chest, and the skirt is so short. Zhang Reckless finally heard the long-awaited signal to turn around. Empress's JK uniform fit perfectly on her body, and her fingers kept tugging at the hem of her skirt, afraid of revealing too much. Since Zhang Reckless turned around, he hasn't moved a muscle, but inside, it's like a million little deer are crashing around. At this moment, the system sends a prompt. Congratulations to the host for completing task number 6. Zhang Reckless suddenly bursts out with an unprecedented surge of energy. Even Empress standing by the side did not expect that what Zhang Reckless said about restoring power was actually true. A beam of light shot down from the rolling dark clouds above the stronghold, upgrading the heart of a pervert engine. At this moment, Zhang Reckless, the heart of a pervert, has become a powerful pro version. The system once again sends a prompt. Divine body of lustful spirit's capacity has been increased to 2,000 units. When fully charged to 100%, it will be equivalent to the power of Grandmaster 9 Heaven. Leave the handsome appearance of Zhang Reckless and Azure Spirit to me. I will definitely ensure her safe return to the sect. The exotic race's nest, Ancestral Mountain, is 100 miles away from this location. The Azure Spirit, who is in a coma, was cruelly dropped into midair. In the corner, Zhang Reckless, holding 2 girl-finding rulers redeemed with points, accurately located the whereabouts of Azure Spirit. At this time, several people walked into the main hall, and Single-Horned Leader laughed heartily, praising the strategist by his side for his brilliant tactics. This woman has killed countless of our disciples. When she wakes up, let the boys line up for a good time." The strategist on the side sneered, mocking. "With such an opportunity to counterattack the land of Hua in front of you, you only think of venting your anger and seeking revenge. No wonder you've been stuck in this wilderness for so many years, single-horned." When single-horned leader was about to get angry upon hearing this, he was stopped by double-horned beside him. The strategist, "What plan do you have? We will definitely follow it." At this time the strategist slowly said, "There is a guardian spirit core placed inside the wind-piercing gorge. This is an artifact specifically designed to counter the exotic race. Once the exotic race enters its range, their strength will be greatly reduced." Doublehorn's face turned ferocious upon hearing this. "We have tried countless methods, but none have been able to destroy the spirit core. This is the biggest obstacle on our path to revitalization," he said. The strategist then pointed to the azure spirit hanging in midair. "The opportunity is right in front of us. By using curses to control the azure spirit's mind, we can discreetly destroy the spirit core after sending her back without anyone noticing," he suggested. Singlehorn praised the plan. "That's brilliant. Indeed, when it comes to cunning and ruthlessness, your human race is truly unmatched." The more Zhang Reckless in the corner listened, the more he felt chills down his spine. It seems that all these schemes of the exotic race are orchestrated by this person. As a member of the human race, assisting the exotic race is truly disgraceful. At this moment, the leader of the exotic race is ready to implant the puppet curse. Everyone cast their spells to condense a dark purple barrier. Azure Spirit's jade body is gradually being eroded by the dark energy, emitting a series of tragic and miserable screams. Zhang Reckless gathers energy in his palms. At this moment he can no longer hide. He truly can't bear to see Azure Spirit continue to suffer. 2 energy cannons blast towards the roof above Azure Spirit. Seeing this scene, the crowd of the exotic race thought that the Empress had arrived and quickly withdrew the formation, preparing to resist. Just then Singlehorn shouted and Azure Spirit ran away. Doublehorn's face turned cold. "Azure Spirit was affected by my soft bone weakening powder, and won't regain strength within 3 hours. The reinforcements are coming only to rescue, they dare not fight us head-on. It seems that it's not the Empress, there must be another person behind this." Within the nest of the exotic race lies the ancestral mountain. Zhang Reckless is driving wildly with Azure Spirit. The unconscious Azure Spirit recognizes Zhang Reckless and grumpily says, "I don't need your help." At this moment a huge 5-eyed giant bug rushes out from around the corner. Zhang Reckless' footsteps never stop, depleting the energy of the divine body of lustful spirit. "What the heck, get out of my way." However, after one strike, Zhang Reckless felt that something was amiss. Accompanied by a miserable howl, the two fell beneath the freshly broken ground. The two broke through several walls and fell into a new space directly. Azure Spirit was hit by this blow, gasping softly and falling back. She was not hurt badly by this hit and was able to sit up quickly. However, Zhang Reckless, who witnessed this scene, felt as if he had suffered a 10-level internal injury. At this time, shouting from the exotic race soldiers overhead gave them no time to catch their breath. They had to continue running. Zhang Reckless grabbed Azure Spirit and hurried into the cave. This cave was labyrinthine, so it wouldn't be easy for them to find us either. As the two ventured deeper into the cave, Zhang Reckless couldn't help but express his confusion about where the green light was coming from. It looked eerie. Just then, Zhang Reckless exclaimed and stopped in his tracks. They saw a giant cave filled with layers of dry bones. The walls were inscribed with "Holy Resting Place of Our Ancestors." At this time the system sent a prompt congratulating the host on reaching the hidden mission location and completing the check-in, receiving the reward of the Celestial Alchemy Tome. At this moment Zhang Reckless stood still blankly, accepting the system to load the scripture into his brain. After a moment Zhang Reckless' head ached and he screamed in pain. The system then reminded him that he had mastered all the knowledge points of the Celestial Alchemy Tome. Soon Zhang Reckless turned his head to comfort Azure Spirit, saying, "I'm fine, lovely spirit, you are so concerned about me. Could it be that you have fallen in love with me?" Azure Spirit was so scared that her heart was pounding rapidly. "What nonsense are you talking about? You are so annoying." She then turned around pretending to be angry. "Men are all crazy in the head. Let's go our separate ways from here on." But she hadn't taken a few steps when she noticed that Zhang Reckless hadn't followed. She suddenly panicked, hurried back to the entrance of the cave, and asked in dissatisfaction, "Why haven't you left yet?" At that moment, Zhang Reckless was already fascinated by the huge bones in front of him. "Azure Spirit, come and take a look." The remains of the ancestors of these exotic races turned out to be top-grade medicinal materials referred to as soul bone in the alchemy tome. The light in the cave is all the spiritual chi lost from the soul bones. At this moment, Azure Spirit noticed several exotic race soldiers rushing towards the corridor. However, these people hesitated to enter and stood at the entrance because of the rules passed down from their ancestors. They could only enter the ancestral nest at specific times. They shouted for Zhang Reckless and the two of them to come out. Zhang Reckless slyly conjured a fireball on his fingertip and warned you not to act rashly. The spiritual chi here is abundant. You know what will happen if this fireball is released, right? Singlehorned was so frightened that he nearly kneeled down, shouting repeatedly, "Let's talk about it." Doublehorned, being more alert, gestured to the exotic race behind him, preparing to cast remote curses. Zhang Reckless turned around and boasted to Azure Spirit, "How about it, have you fallen in love with me?" A fireball flicked in his hand, ready to seize them, but unexpectedly a gust of wind blew by and directly blew the fireball away. Zhang Reckless was so scared that he immediately appeared a phantom and shouted, "It's over." Singlehorned and Doublehorned were even more panicked, and Singlehorned was so distraught that he started crying and apologizing to his ancestors. At this moment, Zhang Reckless, like a monkey plucking the moon from the water, skillfully caught the fireball back onto his palm. Everyone took a deep breath in unison. "Young hero, you are truly humorous," they exclaimed. Zhang Reckless struck a confident pose, basking in the adulation of the crowd. However, the fireball slipped once again. Watching the fireball about to land on the skull, Azure Spirit chuckled and reassured everyone. "Don't worry, Zhang Reckless is just fooling around." Upon seeing this, Zhang Reckless hastily summoned the system and quickly stored the soul bone into the storage space. At this time, the system sent a prompt indicating that storage permission is currently not activated. To activate it, points need to be paid. 3 points for a monthly subscription, 30 points for an annual subscription with discounts for new customers and so on. Zhang Reckless is extremely anxious, like having a fire on the eyebrows. "This damn system, stop talking and quickly activate the annual subscription for me." The next moment, a strong suction force pulled the dry bones in. Soon the entire cave became empty. Fortunately, he rescued in time and did not waste anything. He then turned to the bewildered crowd of the exotic race and said, "Please rest assured, the remains of your ancestors are intact." Before he could finish pretending, a group of exotic race soldiers shouted and charged towards him. Zhang Reckless, along with Azure Spirit, started fleeing again. This man not only danced on other people's graves, he almost burned everything to ashes with a fireball. Fortunately, the system has a yearly storage space subscription, so he was able to absorb all the dry bones. The exotic race outside the door didn't care about any ancestral rules anymore. They all shouted to kill these two people. In a panic, Zhang Reckless randomly chose a cave entrance to enter. At this moment, a very strong black smoke from the single-horned behind rushed towards the two people. Without caring, Azure Spirit shouted not to block Zhang Reckless and formed a bright ball of light to shoot out. With a loud bang, the two forces collided. A strand of black energy from the single-horned also shot out. The black energy pierced through Zhang Reckless' body. At the same time, a powerful energy fluctuation caused the collapse of the cave entrance. Single-horned cursed fiercely, but faced with so many giant rocks, he was helpless as well. At this moment, Doublehorn chuckled oddly and said, "They actually stumbled into the mysterious stone cave by accident. There is no way out, they can only be tormented to death by our curses inside." Inside the cave, Azure Spirit carefully examined Zhang Reckless' body. This single-horned is a white-robe archpriest. His curses are extremely vicious and virtually impossible to defend against. Zhang Reckless looked around and saw only one cave entrance. He decided to first find a way to counter the curses before seeking an opportunity to break through the stone gate. At this moment, Zhang Reckless suddenly remembered the puppet curse that Azure Spirit had suffered and quickly asked if your body was okay. Little did Zhang Reckless expect that Azure Spirit would tilt her body back, lightly biting her finger and coyly reply, "I'm fine, Zhang Reckless." Zhang Reckless couldn't help but be startled as his nosebleed uncontrollably started flowing. "Wait, lovely spirit, can you really call this being okay? Could it be that you are affected by the curses?" Looking at Azure Spirit again, her expression became even more unrestrained. "I'm fine, just feeling really hot all over." Outside the stone gate, the exotic race was busy setting up the formation under the leadership of White Robe Archpriest Single-Horned. The mysterious stone gate has a damage reduction effect. We must go all out to make them bleed from all 7 orifices and perish inside. At this moment, Zhang Reckless has almost been tormented to death by Azure Spirit, bleeding from all 7 orifices. he shouted. Azure Spirit, snap out of it. This is not the time to be thinking about this. He continued to wildly kick out while trying to persuade Azure Spirit to cheer up. At this moment, an idea flashed in his mind. I could use the soul bones I just collected to refine some artifacts. But in his moment of distraction, Zhang Reckless almost walked into Azure Spirit, who was about to pounce on him with a king's posture. She gently breathed warm air into Zhang Reckless' ear and said, "Can you help me? I'm really feeling unwell right now." Then she unexpectedly grabbed Zhang Reckless' hand and touched it to her side waist. Immediately, Azure Spirit let out a scream that only those in the know would understand. Zhang Reckless never expected her to make such a move. She actually took the initiative to let me touch her sensitive areas. Who can handle this kind of thing? Just as Azure Spirit regained his strength, he was about to fiercely bite his lips. Zhang Reckless timely knocked Azure Spirit unconscious with a knife hand strike, panting heavily and exclaiming how close it was. "I'm sorry, lovely spirit. Even though men cannot resist a seductive embrace, a true man should never take advantage of someone in a vulnerable situation. The system now prompts. Energy levels at 180%. Please release energy immediately." "Don't worry. The system will soon release the energy." Zhang Reckless then opened the item storage and clicked on the soul bone. He extracted 1% of the soul bone from the space. He then began the refining process according to the secret technique in the Celestial Alchemy Tome. After a moment, Singlehorned pressed his ear against the stone door, and found that there was no movement inside. He thought it had gone silent. Just as he was about to order the others to break open the stone door, everyone behind him noticed that the stone door emitted bursts of bright light. The next moment, with a bang, the stone door burst open, directly blasting the exotic race outside the door several meters away. Doublehorned was the first to react, commanding everyone to activate the formation and use curses to attack. Zhang Reckless, dressed in full armor, remained calm. He held onto the panicked Azure Spirit tightly and warned, "I suggest you all refrain from using curses. Do you think these tactics will work against our ancestors?" Doublehorned was greatly shocked to see this scene. How is this possible? Why were all the curses deflected? Zhang Reckless snapped his fingers in a very showy manner. "Refining these 2 sets of armor only consumed 30% of my energy. I'm feeling uncomfortable holding back now." Then Zhang Reckless condensed an incredibly huge fireball. "It's now up to you all. Accompany me and release all your frustrations." With a single strike from him, the entire exotic race ancestral mountain collapsed. Above the sky, Azure Spirit in Zhang Reckless' arms gradually regained consciousness and repeatedly asked what had just happened. "The puppet curse affecting you seems to induce seduction. You were kissing and biting me just now. Fortunately, I refined 2 sets of evil-repelling soul armor that can counter curses, which saved both of our lives." Upon hearing this, Azure Spirit fell into contemplation. The curses of the exotic race only disturb the mind and do not have a seductive effect. If it disturbed my mind, why did I not kill him? Instead, I feel like doing that kind of thing to him. At the same time, the exotic race corpses lay scattered all over Wind-Piercing Gorge. Lu Peacekeeper anxiously asked Empress if she should go support Zhang Reckless, but Empress calmly stated that he had already succeeded. Just now, the exotic race completely retreated not because of our actions, but because they received orders. Just as the words fell, a figure that was swaying suddenly fell to the ground with a slap. As the smoke dispersed, it was Zhang Reckless and Azure Spirit. In the chaos, Zhang Reckless startled Azure Spirit, who screamed repeatedly. A moment later, inside the military tent, Empress asked how Zhang Reckless managed to restrain curses. Zhang Reckless, while instructing to make another dish of tomato and egg stir-fry, responded, "I'm talented, you know. I was born with a divine body." When that white-robe archpriest realized I wasn't afraid of curses, everyone was stunned. Before heading out, I casually bombed their ancestral mountain. After listening to all of Zhang Reckless' narration, the 2 individuals fell into deep contemplation. The military advisor of the exotic race knowing about the Guardian Spirit Corps is definitely not an ordinary person. We must investigate thoroughly and find out this traitor to punish them severely. This man not only made armor out of the bones of the ancestors of the exotic race, he also turned around and bombed the ancestral mountain that had been worshipped for generations, while Zhang Reckless carefully replayed the strategy of the exotic race inside the tent. The military advisor of the exotic race could clearly know when the Empress went crazy, and that the core of Wind-Piercing Gorge seemed to be a very familiar person from the Jade Maiden Sect, but sounded like a man. Could it be that he used a voice-changing spell? Just then he noticed a scent of aphrodisiac drifting in the air. "It seems that the mole is making a move on me." Zhang Reckless closed his eyes pretending to be asleep. At this moment, a dark shadow quietly stuck out its head. I saw Azure Spirit quietly approaching him. She took 2 steps to reach his side, then extended a pair of magic claws, scaring Zhang Reckless as if he thought he was going to be punished again. Unexpectedly, Azure Spirit agilely mounted him in one move. She grabbed Zhang Reckless' hands tightly and pressed them against her waist. Azure Spirit suddenly felt exhilarated as if he had taken a stimulant, filled with ecstatic joy in his heart, feeling this sensation to be truly remarkable. She immediately bent down, leaning against Zhang Reckless' chest, caressing as she scolded the bad man affectionately. At this moment, Zhang Reckless looked at Azure Spirit in horror. The last 2 times when she threw herself into my arms were in moments of losing control. This time she actually let me touch her voluntarily. Could it be that she? And at that moment Azure Spirit finally said those words. Why did I fall for you? Ding! The system issued a prompt. Congratulations to the host for completing the Day 5 check-in task and obtaining the one-hit kill gloves. It guarantees a 100% kill rate against any enemy and can be used 3 times. Zhang Reckless became even more relaxed when he heard this. One-hit kill sounds really satisfying. Just then, Azure Spirit came up with another bad idea. Why not take a good look at what the big treasure looks like in the painting while he's asleep? This statement directly shattered Zhang Reckless' worldview. But before he could get up, Azure Spirit reached for his pants leg, ready to pull. Just then, shouts came from outside the military tent, claiming that the exotic race had arrived. Outside the camp, Doublehorned raised a white flag and shouted, I come in peace, seeking an audience with Jade Maiden Sect Empress on the hill. The 3 empresses looked down at Double-Horned Lu Peacekeeper in confusion. Could it be that this time the exotic race really wanted to surrender? The Empress remained calm and smiled, seemingly intimidated by Zhang Reckless. She thought we had developed an artifact to resist curses. Take him to the main camp and call Zhang Reckless as well. Azure Spirit, who was the party involved inside the main tent, was exceptionally excited. Weren't you very arrogant before? Didn't you want to destroy our spirit core? Doublehorned was so scared that he kept claiming it was all a misunderstanding. He came this time only to seek peace and hopes the Empress will spare our clan. Outside the camp, we have prepared 30 wagons of blue crystal as a gift. Please accept it. Upon hearing this, Lu Peacekeeper was taken aback. You should know that blue crystal is a specialty of the exotic race, who are known for the saying, 1 blue overpowers 10 dawn. Even the Jade Maiden Sect only has a few caddies of it. At this moment Zhang Reckless coldly snorted. Thinking this little thing can buy our lives? They really take us for beggars. The most surprised to see Zhang Reckless come out was Azure Spirit. After being drugged by my sedative, he should at least sleep until morning. Could it be that he's just pretending to sleep? And Zhang Reckless is also walking slowly towards Doublehorned, threatening to hand over their dog-headed military advisor if they want to survive. Also, explain how the team that attempted to assassinate the Empress entered the sect. After hearing Zhang Reckless' words, Lu Peacekeeper also regained his senses and thought to himself that Zhang Reckless was still calm. He almost lost his mind to those blue crystals. Doublehorned is most afraid of Zhang Reckless. He quickly put on a smile and said, I only know that the person claimed to be Nether. He led us through a secret passage 30 miles away to enter the sect. Zhang Reckless pretended to hold a pistol against Doublehorn's head. Is the person now a man or a woman? Tell me clearly. Doublehorned, frightened, kept saying he didn't know where the person was, but he was sure it was a man. Upon hearing this, Zhang Reckless' gaze turned cold. If it's confirmed to be a man, then it's not a member of the sect. Who could it be then? In the end, Doublehorned handed over an additional 10 carts of blue crystal before being released. Lu Peacekeeper immediately praised Zhang Reckless as a talented individual, and then informed the Empress sect leader of the incident where Azure Spirit's orientation was changed by Zhang Reckless. You should have seen the sweet look in Azure Spirit's eyes when looking at Zhang Reckless. At this moment, the Empress glared at her fiercely and menacingly. She then turned around and left without looking back, leaving Lu Peacekeeper puzzled with a question mark hovering over his head. She wondered, I didn't say anything wrong, so why did she suddenly turn hostile? Meanwhile, inside the training room of Wind-Piercing Gorge, Zhang Reckless was lying directly on a pile of blue crystals. However, he just asked for 10 more carriages of blue crystals, and each of them looked extremely happy. I really don't understand what these women are thinking. At this moment, the system sent out a prompt. Task 7 sign-in task is now available. The task type is a designated task sign-in. Wait for the next person entering the training room to put on OL uniform. Just after the system released the task, a sound of footsteps could be heard outside the training room. Zhang Reckless secretly anticipated who this cute person could be. At this moment, third disciple Yin walked in. Zhang Reckless felt delighted. This mission is simply a piece of cake. Anyway, she can't see it. Just complete it casually. At this moment, Yin sat on the stone steps and slowly took off his coat. Zhang Reckless quickly covered his eyes with his hands, but it seemed like he didn't cover them completely. At this point, he couldn't let her know that I was next to her. It seems that this task can only be postponed for now. A man must make her wear a uniform dress within 3 days, or he will be struck by lightning and die. Thought she couldn't see with her eyes, so he could easily deceive her into wearing it. Unexpectedly, she changed her clothes in front of the man. But he originally planned to slip away quietly while she wasn't paying attention. Unexpectedly, this person has exceptionally sharp hearing. She suddenly shot out a laser beam, almost hitting him in a vital spot. Zhang Reckless tried hard to stifle any sound, transforming Qi into a sword. Yin is quite ruthless indeed. After the strike, Yin noticed that there was no movement. So he continued to remove his eye mask. After the eye mask was removed, a pair of clear and bright eyes were revealed. Zhang Reckless stared at these eyes, feeling mesmerized. It's such a pity that such beautiful eyes cannot see. At this moment, Empress lifted the tent flap and walked in. Yin, please step out for a moment. Yin agreed and quickly changed clothes. Meanwhile, Zhang Reckless was so frightened that he wanted to find a place to hide. Slowly inching towards the tent flap, he leaned against the wall and moved a little bit. Although Yin seemed harmless, she had mastered the integration of martial arts and swordsmanship, with the unbeatable move Heartless Sword. If you dare to provoke her again, don't expect me to save you. Empress then sat down on the stone steps and patted the seat next to her, beckoning Zhang Reckless to come over. I have a matter to seek your advice on. You also know that our Jade Maiden Sect is one of the 6 sects. However, due to the fact that our sect consists solely of women, we are often oppressed by the other 5 sects. I just received news that the annual martial arts assembly will be held in 3 days. And now, first disciple is in seclusion, second disciple Lu Peacekeeper and 6th and 7th disciples need to guard the sect. 4th disciple Azure Spirit needs to stay and oversee Wind-Piercing Gorge. This time we can only bring along 3rd disciple Yin and 5th disciple Ironhammer. Jade Maiden Sect has ranked at the bottom for 3 consecutive years. If we don't perform well this year, we might fall out of the top 6 sects. Zhang Reckless asked in confusion, isn't it a bit redundant to have 3 people guarding the sect? Both 6th and 7th disciples can go. Empress sighed and replied, you will understand once you see the 2 of them. They cannot be easily released from the sect. In addition, because the conference has been moved up, we can't wait for first disciple to come out of seclusion. After much consideration, I'm afraid there is only one solution. 3 days later at the main peak of Cloud Soaring Sect, Cloud Soaring Peak. Outside the main hall, a disciple of Cloud Soaring Sect shouted, Sect leader of Jade Maiden Sect, June Mythical Jade, and the participants Yin Zhao Ironhammer, and Zhang Little Reckless, please come in. The sect leader of Cloud Soaring Sect warmly greeted and said, please have a seat. At the same time, the maid beside him pointed to the tables and chairs in the corner saying, please. Zhao Ironhammer was the first to object. What do you mean by this? Are you asking us to sit in this corner or on these broken chairs? At a glance, Zhang Reckless could tell that this was intentional troublemaking. He reached out to stop her and said, I had heard that the Cloud Soaring Sect was facing financial difficulties. Now that I see for myself, it truly seems quite humble. Thankfully, our Jade Maiden Sect brought our own tables and chairs. He immediately conjured up a luxurious table fit for a president, which could be exchanged for with points. And he walked up to the chair, pulled it out, inviting the sect leader to take a seat. Seeing this scene, the other 5 sects intended to show their power to the Empress. Instead, they ended up getting their faces smeared with a pile of horse manure. At this moment, a disciple pointed at the Jade Maiden Sect and shouted, is this where you can sit? However, the sect leader beside him stopped him. I saw that this person looked very lewd. The excitement they caused tonight is just a show of bravado. The real show will start tomorrow during the martial arts competition. The next day at the 6 sects martial arts competition, the first round of the elimination matches was between Jade Maiden Sect and Myriad Manifestations Sect. In the first match, Yin from Jade Maiden Sect competed against Ling Azure Cloud from Myriad Manifestations Sect. The winner of this round automatically advances to the next match, until one side has all 3 participants defeated. Zhang Reckless looked at the players from Myriad Manifestations Sect on the stage and couldn't help but sigh. Isn't it a bit exaggerated to wear armor into battle? Ironhammer commented from the side. Their sect is known for being robust. In a battle against them, our sect completely fails to gain an advantage. And every year, the order is decided by drawing lots. Yet, every year we end up facing Myriad Manifestation Sect in the first round. On the arena, Ling Azure Cloud charged straight ahead as if ignoring One's attacks. At that moment, Iron Hammer explained once again. Their armors are all made of top-grade minerals, and third senior sister cannot attack the head. It seems difficult to win. In the blink of an eye, Ling Azure Cloud moved in and struck down One. While dodging, 3 sword lights emerged. All 3 sword lights struck towards one point, unexpectedly causing a breach in the armor. At that moment, One suddenly felt a buzz in his brain. 2 Myriad Manifestation Sect disciples were seen below the stage, each holding a dazzling resonance stone, making buzzing noises as they clapped, using this to disrupt One's hearing. Her hearing being disturbed, she soon took a punch and was directly knocked off the ring by a powerful brute force. Ling Azure Cloud had a smug grin on his face, chuckling sinisterly. The Jade Maiden Sect is nothing but a bunch of trash. Who's next? Hurry up and come forward. Do you know about the martial arts competition in the cultivation world? What is the experience like to have a physical cheat in the cultivation world martial arts competition? After Ling Azure Mountain relied on cheating to defeat One, he became even more arrogant in his behavior. This also led Zhao Ironhammer to jump onto the stage. This time she even deliberately wore black stockings, hoping to bring herself good luck. On the stage, Zhao Ironhammer swung the iron hammer loudly, but Ling Azure Mountain easily dodged such a big move. Ironhammer became more and more angry, and desperately swung backwards to unleash the strongest blow. There was a sudden muffled sound, and the hammer and fist fiercely collided with each other. But in an instant, cracks appeared on the surface of the iron hammer. The next second, the entire hammerhead shattered with a rumble, and Zhao Ironhammer was pushed by the force and flew several meters away. Under the arena, One caught the unconscious Ironhammer. At this time, the voice of the host came, asking if the Jade Maiden Sect, which has already lost 2 games in a row, wants to continue. At this moment, Zhang Reckless is extremely angry. Not only did you provoke our One, but you also hurt our most beloved Iron Hammer. Third senior sister, you should go rest first. I will handle the rest. The sect leader of Myriad Manifestation Sect on the viewing platform is laughing uncontrollably. I suggest that you all just forfeit. A mere disciple like me defeating all of you is too embarrassing to spread around. Ling Azure Cloud on the stage is being extremely arrogant. Just kowtow to me and get lost. Don't try to show off in front of me as an unknown soldier. Zhang Reckless was directly amused by these 2 fools. He wore the one-hit kill gloves and said, "Did you put a strengthening charm on your hands? Being a prostitute but still wanting to set up a memorial arch for chastity. You are really shameless." Ling Azure Cloud shouted, "I didn't bring that kind of thing." He swung his fist with the strengthening charm towards Zhang Reckless. Upon seeing this scene, the sect leader of Myriad Manifestation Sect was absolutely delighted. Hey, don't end it so quickly. At least give Jade Maiden Sect some face. But the next second, Ling Azure Cloud was directly blasted up into the clouds. Zhang Reckless casually threw a punch without even looking back, saying, "Compared to me, everyone else cheats. I have never been afraid of anyone." Sect leader of Myriad Manifestation Sect is currently feeling like an injured pug, enduring merciless humiliation. A moment later, Ling Azure Cloud was dragged away like a dead dog. Zhang Reckless adjusted the gloves with only 2 uses left, feeling great pleasure from punching a kid. At this moment, a windfire will rushed onto the stage, and the host's enthusiastic commentary could be heard. Here it is. Qin Fu's unbeatable move, the invincible windfire wheel. Look, Qin Fu focuses all his power on defense, combined with extremely high speed. It's simply unbeatable. The audience witnessed this and thought, Zhang Little Reckless is done for this time. The next moment, the host's voice abruptly stopped. Your pose looks cool, but don't strike it again next time. After winning 2 consecutive matches, Empress also acted like an old yin and yang person. I must apologize, my disciple was a bit heavy-handed, making the sect leader of Myriad Manifestation Sect furious. He shouted, "Steel, get up there." Suddenly, a fighter with the word steel on his chest appeared on the stage. You do have some skills, but unfortunately you have met me, he said. Seeing this person on stage, the sect leader of Cloud Soaring Sect was also surprised. How did you even manage to invite unbeatable golden body, Brother Steel? The sect leader of Myriad Manifestation Sect seems to be getting a bit too cocky again. Yes, Steel's unbeatable golden body is so powerful that even I am not confident in defeating him. Looking at Steel at this moment, he has already displayed the diamond indestructible at full power, radiating dazzling golden light. The inner energy he condensed is becoming stronger and stronger. Zhang Reckless casually threw out a punch. Steel, is your diamond indestructible really that powerful? Unexpectedly after the punch, Steel's expression remained unchanged. He snorted coldly, about to say a few words. Just then he suddenly spit out a mouthful of old blood. His whole person seemed to have been struck by lightning, receiving a 10th grade internal injury. Zhang Reckless turned his back on Steel again, unwilling to see the convulsing flesh ball. Does this mean that even if we win? As the host announced the victory of Jade Maiden Sect, the sect leader of Myriad Manifestation Sect fainted with anger, while the Empress' eyes gleamed. Zhang Reckless, this kid really has some skills. Ironhammer's sister's love for black silk is definitely obvious to all. Even during Zhang Reckless' rest time slots, Ironhammer can still come up with some new tricks. Just saw Ironhammer leaning sexily against the door frame. Zhang Reckless, what do you think of my improved pants? Zhang Reckless exclaimed after seeing it. This is too awesome. Ironhammer, you're truly a self-taught genius. At that moment, Zhang Reckless sensed a familiar disturbance in true chi. At this moment, Ironhammer pouted and said, we were able to advance this time thanks to you. You can choose how to relax tonight, and I will follow your lead. However, as soon as she struck a cool pose, Zhang Reckless was nowhere to be seen in the room. At the same time, Empress was heard gasping in the room. Zhang Reckless leaned against the doorframe and looked inside. It seemed like trouble was brewing. This was the territory of the cloud-soaring sect. He needed to come up with a plan quickly. But as soon as he took 2 steps inside, Empress pounced on him. This time Zhang Reckless clearly had more experience. While gently comforting you that you can do whatever you want, he called out for the system in his spirit sense. Zhang Reckless kept asking the system why Empress always relies on me every time she goes astray. Is it because of my divine body of lustful spirit? Yes, Empress cultivates the Jade Maiden profound scripture, an ancient divine technique. After reaching a bottleneck, it's easy to go astray, resulting in the loss of techniques and arts in the best-case scenario, or total annihilation in the worst-case scenario. Zhang Reckless didn't expect it to be this serious and urgently asked how to preserve his golden core. Is there a spiritual elixir or something similar that can be exchanged with points? However, the system had a smirk on its face. It suggested that saving her is actually very simple and requires no props. Your divine body of lustful spirit belongs to Yang, while her Jade Maiden profound scripture belongs to Yin. If you want her to completely break through the bottleneck, the only way is for you to engage in dual cultivation with her. In reality, Zhang Reckless picked up Empress and walked slowly towards the bed. The system kept reminding through spirit sense that as long as they engage in dual cultivation, she can be saved. Have you made up your mind? Hesitation leads to defeat. When Zhang Reckless slowly untied Empress's ribbon, the system's tone became noticeably cheerful. That's right, I will provide technical support for you. But the next moment the system froze directly. I saw Zhang Reckless pouring the sun energy of the divine body of lustful spirit into Empress. Although I am not a saint, a man would never take advantage of someone in a weak moment. Since the greatest danger lies in the golden core, I repaired hers. With each shout from Empress, Zhang Reckless also depleted his last bits of energy. The system urgently reminded, once your divine body of lustful spirit is depleted, it will take at least a few hours to recover. You will become disabled. How can you compete in tomorrow's match? A moment later, Empress slowly regained consciousness, realizing that she not only survived the crisis, but her golden core had become even stronger. At this moment in Empress's mind, the figure of Zhang Reckless involuntarily appeared. Could it be that you saved me again this time? At the same time, Zhang Reckless was struggling to walk back, leaning on the wall. Damn this system. You didn't even mention that the price of depleting energy is kidney pain. The system scolded unkindly. It serves you right to be in pain. You don't even want a beautiful woman who comes to you. Zhang Reckless was speechless. You definitely have some serious issues. I don't have dual cultivation, and you are so impatient. Go home and watch Pornhub if you want. Not only that, but you always assign me some weird tasks to do. Zhang Reckless pushed open the door while thinking about it. When he pushed the door and looked inside, he found Yin sitting in the room, asking him where he went so late. Zhang Reckless scratched his head awkwardly and casually said he went to the toilet because of an upset stomach. Yin didn't pay much attention, got up to meet Zhang Reckless, and prepared to discuss tomorrow's tactics. But when Yin passed by Zhang Reckless, suddenly realized that something was wrong. She abruptly turned around and asked, "Why does the smell on you seem so familiar?" Zhang Reckless thought to himself, "This is the scent of the Empress." Then he lied, claiming it might be incense used in the restroom. Yin followed up with a swift leg sweep. Don't move. This is a scent I encountered a long time ago. Zhang Reckless was getting more and more flustered, thinking quickly to change the topic. So he hurriedly spoke up saying, by the way, Sister Yin, can you really not see with your eyes? Maybe I can help you get better. Sure enough, Yin did not continue the previous topic, thinking to herself, Zhang Reckless is quite mysterious. Maybe he really can help me get better. She immediately reached out to take off the hanging eye mask. Zhang Reckless saw Yin's eyes up close this time and was once again shocked. These watery big eyes are so bright. Why can't they see? The blind girl has been wearing eye masks to cover her eyes for more than a decade. And today Zhang Reckless is going to test her vision. He looked at Yin in front of him, who could roughly indicate the direction. Zhang Reckless made a judgment in his heart. Big sister, where are you blind? You are just severely nearsighted. Zhang Reckless immediately entered the spirit sense and asked the system if there were suitable glasses for Yin. The system, unexpectedly, was completely disheartened and ignored Zhang Reckless. He sighed helplessly. Well, I was planning to cure her eyes first and then have her wear an OL uniform. Since it's not possible, then there's nothing I can do. In reality, Zhang Reckless couldn't help but smile at the glasses in his hand. This trick really worked against the perverted system. He then walked to Yin's side and carefully put on the glasses. Did Yin feel like the world had suddenly become brighter? Yin widened her eyes curiously. She had never thought that the world could be so clear. Zhang Reckless, you are amazing. Zhang Reckless chuckled triumphantly. Let me tell you, I am the son of a miracle. Wear it tomorrow and you will surely catch them off guard. Yin looks even cuter and more charming with the glasses on. She bowed and thanked profusely, saying, I am so grateful. I don't know how to thank you enough. At this moment, Zhang Reckless quickly replied, Of course. Yin was taken aback by the unexpected speed of repayment. All of a sudden, Zhang Reckless effortlessly conjured a set of office lady uniform. Can you put on this outfit and let me have a look? Yin curiously scrutinized the unfamiliar style like a curious baby. Why should I put it on? Zhang Reckless scratched his head and came up with a white lie. I want to give it to a friend. You have a similar body shape, so I want you to try it on to see if it looks good. Yin sweetly smiled in agreement. Wait a moment, I will go change right away. A moment later, Yin pushed open the door and said, Zhang Reckless, I'm ready. Are you sure our body shapes are similar? I feel like this outfit is really small. Zhang Reckless' face showed a trace of nosebleed due to his recklessness, and he said seriously, Not small at all. It looks pretty big to me. At this time, the system issued a warning that the divine body of the lustful spirit is still in cooldown and unable to store energy. To protect the safety of the host, it will proceed with discharge. The next second, Zhang Reckless' nostrils shot out blood like a fountain. Yin, wearing glasses for the first time, witnessed such a clear and spectacular scene. She ran over shouting excitedly. In a panic, Zhang Reckless quickly stopped her. Unexpectedly, Yin had not walked 2 steps before being tripped by a raised brick. She lunged forward and heavily landed on Zhang Reckless. A moment later, Zhang Reckless almost bled to death and sat on the chair lifelessly. Yin hurriedly began to bow and apologize. I'm really sorry for accidentally injuring you. I didn't expect to hurt you. Facing Yin's extreme politeness and 99 consecutive bows, Zhang Reckless quickly interrupted. I understand your sincerity. Let's discuss tomorrow's tactics instead. Immediately, Zhang Reckless admitted to their physical condition. I can only recover my cultivation level by tomorrow noon. I will have to rely on you for the competition then. Before he could finish, Zhang Reckless was distracted by the sound of Yin's button shattering. Sis, could you please stop worrying? I really am fine. A moment later, the eye patch-wearing Zhang Reckless finally entered Sage mode. The finals today will be a melee involving the top 3 teams. Given their nature, they will surely target us first, so it's up to you and Ironhammer to stall until I recover. Yin agreed and said she would go back to discuss strategies with Ironhammer. But the buttons on her clothes are undone. I'll go fix them and bring them to you. No need, I'll just send them to you directly. I have plenty more sets at home. Under the nightfall, Yin walked alone on the road, her mind filled with random thoughts. So this is how men look like. They are quite good looking. Zhang Reckless breathed a sigh of relief in the room, then his consciousness shifted to the spirit sense. At this moment, the system prompted the award for the 7th task. However, Zhang Reckless hesitated and asked if he could exchange the reward for points instead. The system, feeling puzzled, agreed that it was possible, but pointed out that the rewards were rare equipment, and converting them to points might be a loss. Zhang Reckless, sensing an opportunity, quickly put on an experienced expression saying, Then give me more points. Next time, I'll try to help you get better rewards. So the system exchanged 3,999 points and transferred them into his balance. He looked at the 4,359 points in front of him. Zhang Reckless was full of confidence. I need to exchange some props for tomorrow's game. Do you have anything like 98K, AK-47 and so on? The system immediately perked up after listening. Not only do we have those, but we also have intercontinental missiles and individual nuclear weapons. But before Zhang Reckless could rush into her arms shouting "Mom," she was quickly sprayed back by the system with a mouthful of saliva saying, "You've become drunk with just a few dishes. Forget about everything from the era of hot weapons." Zhang Reckless wiped the spittle off her face and asked impatiently, "So what can I exchange for here?" Immediately, the system waved its hand and opened up a new space. After Zhang Reckless entered, he found that the space inside was huge, and all sorts of various weapons were available. Not bad, it looks like it's all set now. This man not only lost all his cultivation level, he was also surrounded and attacked by experts from the sect. However, he only said one sentence. He scared everyone so much that they dared not move. At the martial arts tournament of the 6 sects, the host shouted in a high voice, "Please welcome the competing disciples from Cloud Soaring Sect, Mythical Sword Sect, and Jade Maiden Sect." This time, Cloud Soaring Sect's combination led by Gentleman's Sword, Chin Cloud, is considered a top contender for the championship. On the Mythical Sword Sect side, the strongest combat power is Night Owl, known as Ghost Shadow, who is a fierce killer. Next, let's take a look at the participating disciples from the Jade Maiden Sect. They are still having breakfast? At this scene, sect leader of the Mythical Sword Sect on the viewing platform was laughing so much that his back teeth were showing. This silly girl named Zhang Little Reckless is here to bring some laughter, right? It's already this late, and she's still nibbling on fried dough sticks. Under the shadow, the sect leader of the Myriad Manifestation Sect reminded with a hint of threat, "Don't forget about those 3 disciples of mine from yesterday, where are they?" Upon hearing this, the remaining 4 sect leaders sat down together to discuss. They couldn't allow the Jade Maiden Sect to steal the limelight again. Feeling isolated by a few people, the Empress couldn't help but feel speechless. The Cloud Soaring Sect and Mythical Sword Sect will surely join forces to deal with us first. But looking at Zhang Reckless' calm and composed demeanor, could it be that he already has a plan in mind? At this moment, the host formation was suspended in midair and shouted loudly, "This final is a 3-way battle involving 9 people. The last sect remaining in the arena will be the winner." With his command, the final officially began. Meanwhile, there were still 90 minutes left until Zhang Reckless' cooldown time. On the stage, the 3 members of the Mythical Sword Sect immediately rushed towards the Jade Maiden Sect. According to the plans of the 2 sects from last night, they were responsible for taking the lead. At this moment, Zhang Reckless shouted, "Oh no!" Kai Evil, who was leading, immediately applied the brakes and stopped abruptly. He stared coldly at this woman with a large chest, not knowing what trick she was up to again. I saw Zhang Reckless scratching his head with a worried expression saying, "Oh no, I can only throw 3 punches a day, but today there are 6 enemies. Which cutie should I send out first in the end?" Upon hearing this, the 3 members of the Mythical Sword Sect were shocked. It turns out that such a terrifying move can only be used 3 times. In that case, why should we take the lead? 3 of them saw them doing stretching exercises and retreating while moving backward. Cloud Soaring Sect became furious. These 3 fools actually retreated on the spot. If the enemy doesn't move, we don't move. The 3 of us will also stay still. Half an hour later, the 3 teams on the field remained motionless. Only the commentators were having a hard time. For half an hour, their mouths didn't stop analyzing the psychological changes of several people. The sect leader of the Mythical Sword Sect couldn't help but shout, "What are you 3 bastards doing? Hurry up and get on with it." Upon seeing the sect leader losing his temper, Wu Lordface was about to make a move but was stopped by Kai Evil. "Don't bother with him. Let's continue to wait. Once we get the first place, he will be delighted," Kai Evil said. Looking at the Jade Maiden Sect, Zhang Reckless just laid back and praised himself for being truly clever. As long as he drags it out for another hour, this round will be stable. At this moment, One shouted, "Be careful," and immediately teamed up with Iron Hammer to block the flying swords that were shot their way. The host was so excited to see this scene. Audience friends, they finally took action. I saw Chin Cloud standing with his hands behind his back, suddenly feeling a bit bored waiting like this. "Let's warm up first." Upon hearing this, Iron Hammer repeatedly asked Zhang Reckless for his opinion. What does this person mean? Could it be true that he is just probing us? I saw that Zhang Reckless was already in a combat-ready state. It seems that our empty city strategy has been exposed. If we can only exchange 3 punches, I should stand at the forefront. It looks like this fierce battle is finally about to begin. Kai Evil chuckled on the side, while Wu Lordface behind inquired if they should attack together. But Kai Evil the camper still orders to stand still. Let's wait a little longer for the clam and the snipe to contend so that the fishermen can benefit. Only to see that the 3 persons from Cloud Soaring Sect have already taken their positions and charged together. 2 of them are responsible for directly engaging in a head-on fight, while the other person is preparing to flank and attack from behind. Chin Cloud chuckled. Indeed, it was just an empty threat. He immediately instructed to take down the person trying to flank from behind, Zhang Little Reckless. The man was seen wielding 2 double-bladed axes, leaping high into the air and heavily chopping down. At this moment, even Zhang Reckless reveals a fierce light in his eyes, sensing the extraordinary danger. But the next second, his little foot stepped onto the trap. The whole person's movement came to a sudden halt. He could only helplessly watch as Zhang Reckless twisted into a vile dance. As the bamboo pole behind him sprung up, the whole person was pulled away towards the distance. Before leaving, he didn't forget to curse a few words. "You camper, make sure to complete the mission for me." The audience looked at the trembling bamboo pole with surprise. How come there are traps on the arena stage? At this moment, the other sect leaders on the spectator stand also approached the host, sect leader of Cloud Soaring Sect, to inquire about the situation. However, they saw him waving his hand repeatedly, and the person who stepped on it was their own disciple. The sect leaders suddenly realized that the Jade Maiden Sect seemed not to be that simple. It must be the ugliest Zhang Little Reckless causing trouble. On the arena, Cloud Soaring Sect's Zhao Good scolded despicably. "You actually set traps in the middle of the field." However, he was kicked away by Ironhammer with a long leg. "Both of your sects teaming up, yet still have the nerve to call others despicable." On the One side, they kept driving Chin Cloud back. Chin Cloud shouted, "Kai Evil, don't be a camper, help me out." As soon as the words fell, One's brain buzzed and their hearing was once again severely disrupted. Kai Evil instructed the 2 to take down the long legs and the blind guy first before dealing with Zhang Little Reckless. In an instant, the 2 rushed towards One. "Rest assured, we have disturbed this blind guy." But as soon as the words fell, 2 precise sword chi landed on them. Only seeing One appearing handsomely with small glasses, she didn't forget to throw a shiny seductive glance at Zhang Reckless. Zhang Reckless chuckled upon receiving it, indicating that the scales of victory seemed to have tipped directly to our side. He is definitely the most cunning sect leader among the 6 major sects. He not only turned a blind eye to the use of drugs by the disciples of our sect in the competition, in the face of criticism, he shamelessly boasted that other skills were inferior. Just now, 2 disciples of the mythical sword sect were accurately struck by One. Kai Evil covered his chest, where blood was gushing out, looking shocked. "Aren't you blind? Why can you still see?" One didn't waste any words. With a lady's chain combo kick, she kicked the 2 individuals, sending them flying directly into the audience seats. The host exclaimed repeatedly, "The situation on the field has turned in an instant." At this moment, there is only 1 member from Mythical Sword Sect, 3 from Cloud Soaring Sect, and 3 from Jade Maiden Sect left on the field, with Zhang Reckless laughing heartily as he puffed out his chest. Next, we can enjoy a joyful 3v3 battle. And at this moment, Zhang Reckless only has 15 minutes left to recover his divine body of lustful spirit. Chin Cloud on the side showed a bitter expression. Clearly the victory was within their grasp. How could it have turned out like this? "If I can't win this match, I will definitely become a laughingstock of the sect. When things come to this, I can only use this." Chin Cloud took out the Dan pills while also glancing at the spectator stand. I saw the sect leader of Cloud Soaring Sect also nodding slightly in agreement. On the arena, Chin Cloud and Zhao Good both took their pills to forcibly advance to the 2-layer cultivation level. Let's see if you still have the power to resist. Not far away, Zhang Reckless also noticed the abnormality of the 2, but before he could react, the 2 rushed forward like arrows shot from a bow. One threw himself in front, trying to block Zhang Reckless, who hastily tried to stop him, but it was already too late. One was hit directly and spurted a mouthful of blood. Zhang Reckless quickly picked up Ironhammer and dodged a strike from Chin Cloud. Unexpectedly, Chin Cloud threw several flying knives straight at them. This move was fast and fierce. Ironhammer, unable to dodge in time, was hit on the calf. The host, as a disciple of the Cloud Soaring Sect, was thrilled. He kept commentating enthusiastically, praising Zhao Good for directly striking down One Chin Cloud with a flying knife to defeat Zhao Ironhammer. The cloud-soaring sect truly deserves its reputation as the leader of the 6 sects on the righteous path. The empress on the viewing platform angrily roared. You actually made the disciple take vitality-boosting Dan to win. Are you really so shameless just for victory? Looking at the sect leader of the cloud-soaring sect acting nonchalantly as if nothing happened, it makes me want to give him a slap. He shamelessly said, I have no idea what vitality-boosting Dan is. If your skills are inferior, don't try to shift the blame. The sect leader of the mythical sword sect also echoed repeatedly. Exactly. The empress is truly narrow-minded. On the stage, Zhang Reckless is inquiring about the injuries of the 2 women. Ironhammer is angrily cursing on the side. The trash of the cloud-soaring sect even resorted to using banned drugs. They are truly shameless. Chin Cloud giggled strangely and said, Oh, why the rush? Why don't you ask all the people present who saw me taking drugs? Upon hearing this, the disciples of the cloud-soaring sect in the audience shouted one after another that they didn't see it. They also continued to insult incessantly, which was simply obscene. The audience's mocking remarks sounded particularly harsh to Zhang Reckless, who could not tolerate anyone insulting the Jade Maiden Sect, which was like a home to him. Since you play dirty, let me show you what true terror is. At this moment, Zhao Good felt like he was somebody, so he pushed Chin Cloud behind him and said, Let me handle this. Immediately, he roared loudly and used his inner strength, causing his whole body to swell several times as he charged toward Zhang Reckless. Even when faced with the trap set by Zhang Reckless, he remained completely composed. He allowed bamboo sticks to strike his body one by one with a loud sound. I am now invulnerable, these bamboo sticks are nothing to me. Before he could finish speaking, he was knocked away by a thick and large iron rod. Chin Cloud saw the situation turning bad and swiftly shot out several flying knives. However, Zhang Reckless transformed into a huge shield and blocked each flying knife. He then casually threw out a small car-sized prop. In an instant, the small car transformed into a war chariot covered in crossbow arrows. Are you trying to compete with me in hidden weapons, kid? Countless crossbow arrows could be seen shooting towards Chin Cloud.